welcome back to the Pain and Panic podcast, a late night recording for Chris and I today after a long Thursday night football game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys that kicked off the start of football season here in the NFL. It was a fun game. We're going to get through everything you need to know from the Thursday night game tonight. We're going to preview the big game of the week that we have picked to cover for our podcast this week, and then we're going to give our upset picks and go through all the game picks for this weekend on this episode. Again, Chris and Adam here with you, as always, for every episode we have. So let's start, Chris, with tonight's game. 24-20, Philadelphia defeats Dallas. A weird game where the first half looked like these teams both are going to score in the 40s, and then the second half, the defense kind of stepped up a little bit, brought it kind of back down. It was 21-20 at halftime, and the second half only 3 points on a Jake Elliott field goal on the first drive of the second half. So what are your key takeaways here on what was an interesting Week 1 game between the reigning Super Bowl champs who hung their banner and moved to 1-0?
Well, first of all, I am sorry to the NFL. I thought it was a bad decision to have this game. I was like, the Eagles are going to wipe them. It was actually a very good game. And I think the Lightning whole delayed kind of ruined the flow of the game.
Yep.
The offenses never got back into a rhythm on either side. But it was actually a very entertaining game. You got to see a lot of the key players making some plays. CeeDee Lamb had some great beginnings. Late at the end, it kind of fell apart. Dak is back. I think that was one of the main things that I saw. Dak looked great. And on the Eagles, you saw Saquon, you saw Jalen Hurts, you saw the tush-push, their formula. You did not see A.J. Brown. I think he had a twin of his that has no football ability playing today.
Yeah.
Don't know what happened to him, but I went against him in fantasy, so I'm not complaining. But you just saw a very chippy divisional matchup, too. And, you leave that game, or honestly, right now, my main thought is, this is ridiculous that the game ended so late. But also, I'm like, what were the players on this game? Every single time there was a whistle blown, it seems like two guys are fighting. It starts with Jalen Carter before the game, getting kicked out for the whole game, before even playing a snap. And then every single time it would just be a kickoff and then players going at it. So a lot of energy for opening day, for opening kickoff. It was a lot of fun. And the Lightning maybe ruined what was going to be an offensive slugfest right there.
Yeah, it was the funniest opening to a game, minus the injury, that I've ever seen in my life. We get an opening kickoff. They talk about, well, we changed the rules. We want more returns. We get a return. We get an injury. Then Jalen Carter spits on Dak Prescott. He's gone. And, you want to talk about how crazy this is. You mentioned CeeDee Lamb. He got off to a great start in this game, finishes the game with 7 catches, 110 yards, no touchdowns. But he had a huge play right towards the end of the game, right before the 2 minutes. The Cowboys are trying to drive down 4 and just misses it right out of his hands. If he catches that ball, the Cowboys score to go up 27-24, maybe they win this game. We're talking about how dumb Jalen Carter is for getting thrown out of this game because the Cowboys marched right down the field. Javonte Williams was really good. Miles Sanders had a big run, had a crucial fumble right before the Lightning delay that actually, I'm still convinced, it was the first stop of the game, and Mother Nature said, nope, no stops. We're stopping the game now. Everyone's got to lock back in, okay? We got to figure out how this game's going to be played. But it was it's a huge drop. It's a huge play in this game, and it basically a little bit takes Jalen Carter off the hook on what he would have been facing a lot of scrutiny. I still think he will. Philly fans aren't going to let him live that one down because that's a huge opportunity and really leaving your teammates high to dry, so we'll see how Philadelphia handles that. But they are able to get the win. They get to 1-0, and I think you said the key point for me is, we were kind of down on the Cowboys after the Micah Parsons trade. Defense still gives me concerns. Credit to Matt Eberflus for making some adjustments post-Lightning delay to really get the Eagles out of rhythm, but Dak Prescott was phenomenal tonight. He made some big throws. The wide receivers let him down a little bit, but I think that's the big thing. If Dak Prescott plays to that level every week, the Cowboys do have a chance to do, like we said, they had to be like the Bengals. They have that opportunity if Dak Prescott plays at that level week in and week out.
Yeah, Dak is back. I think that's the main takeaway I had. He was making throws a CD that if he caught any of them, it would have been a great first down, could have been a huge play. And he was making throws. He looked very good in the pocket, moving around, broke a nice tackle, made a big play. And he was doing it the whole game. And even at the end, they're bringing pressure. He's staying in, throwing it. And the guys were covered, but he still threw it right to his guy, even though they were triple covered. He made the only spot to where it wasn't intercepted. They got some breaks, but he looked phenomenal. And honestly, the Cowboys, it's week 1. You're going to overreact, but they look pretty dang good. I think Micah Parsons not being there obviously hurt, especially in the first half. And honestly, for the Eagles, they did have a gigantic hole in the center of their defensive line. And they exposed it with Javonte Williams. And you're like, why is the Eagles' defensive line not playing well? Maybe it's because Jalen Carter got kicked out before he even played. And it's so ridiculous that the start of the season, you don't even get to play a snap. And here's the thing. You could say Dak Prescott spit in his direction first, and you see that, it's like, all right, probably not the right move by Dak. But it's different than spitting on the person in front of the referee. And also, Jalen Carter has done himself no favors with his past history. I read it to my mom, and I was laughing, and I'm like, this has been like 1 year in the NFL, and he's already racked up all this stuff on him. So he has done himself no favors with his reputation. So obviously, most people are going to see that and be on Dak's side. So, what a weird game. I love that it's a rivalry division game where they really do seem to have animosity towards each other. That's like football right there. But you kind of like in the first quarter, it was a bit like, all right, let's play some football and save this for like when the game gets out of hand. But it was a good game. It was actually a good game.
Yeah, and I think you said, Jalen Carter, there's a way. Look, if Dak spit in your direction, there's a way to get back at him. It's not go spit on him. It's say, okay, watch this, and then go sack him on the first play of the game and say, we're here now. That's the way to get back at him. Jalen Carter elected to, do his own thing, and him and Big Dom took the walk back to the locker room pretty quickly. They said there was a scuffle, I remember, because they were still on the player that got hurt. I'm sorry, I forget his name. Backup fullback, I think, for the Eagles got hurt. But they were, like, on him and the injury. He got carted off the field, and then they come back and they go, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 98, who's been ejected. I'm like, whoa. Like, that's a way to start. But
yeah, I heard he was ejected. I was like, I wonder what he did. And I
said,
don't
what
know.
do you do?
And spitting is like maybe one of like the least actual like physically harmful things, but one of the most disrespectful things at the same time. So with the moment we did that, I think it's fair. Kick him out. Yeah. He doesn't deserve to be in the game.
My favorite one was Oregon, Ohio State last year. It happened. He spit on the guy's visor, and you could like see it on his visor. And I just laughed the entire. I said, "How dumb do you have to be?" It was an Oregon wide receiver. I forget who it was. I was just dying. I'm like, "This is hilarious."
Yeah, I think that would bug me so much because I'm not a big germ guy. So I would have been like, "He spit on me," and got him ejected. But
yeah,
whatever. I think it was that kind of stole the show in the beginning, and by the end, CeeDee Lamb's phenomenal. He actually had a great game overall. But he's probably, like, at least the third best receiver in the NFL. He's in that tier with Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. You got to make one of those catches at the end of the game. One of them went through his hands and off his helmet and went up in the air. He could have easily been picked off. The second one, he was running downfield. Dak made a perfect throw right into the breadbasket, and it bounced out of his hands. And the third one was the hardest one, but it was the one that ended the game on fourth down. Dak gets pressure, manages to throw it up there, and it was in his hands. And he just missed. He dove. But that one, yeah, I could excuse. But the other ones were kind of just like, how did you not catch him?
Yeah,
those were the ones that kind of bother me since he's that guy. And those kind of did cost them the game.
Yeah, I'm not going to blame him for the last one, but as you mentioned, the other two were really bad. I think Dak only made one mistake. There was the one where Quinyon Mitchell probably should have picked it before the deep ball to CeeDee Lamb, like went by him, and Quinyon Mitchell had it and just wasn't able to make that play. That's the only mistake I think Dak made tonight. The one thing, Eagles, two things they got to work on. Got to be more explosive. I mean, the Cowboys, I thought Eberflus had a great game plan, kind of just sit back, dare them to be patient on offense, and you could tell at the end Jalen was getting a little anxious, wanted to throw the deep ball, try to find it. Now, AJ might have been in a zero lot about it, but, trying to get a downfield shot, and they just weren't able to hit one outside of the big play to Dotson.
I did not see AJ Brown reading any books on the sideline today.
True. Maybe NBC was being nice. They didn't want. Maybe Nick Sirianni said no cameras on the sidelines when AJ's reading. It was raining though, so maybe he was being a little careful with the book.
Question, Adam, did you know where to find the game today?
Yeah, I knew it was on NBC. Why? Did you not know?
It used to be on Amazon.
Well, the game next week will be on Amazon for Thursday Night Football, but week one's always on NBC.
I can't keep up with these games. I'm like, I go on Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football, and then I was like, oh, where is it? Then I looked up, like, oh, it's on NBC.
Yeah. Just week one's always on NBC. It's always on NBC.
Too much to keep track of.
Tomorrow's on YouTube, so be ready. Just on YouTube, not YouTube TV, just on YouTube. So you can watch it on there for free.
Can't wait to explain that to my mom how that works.
Yeah, it's for free, though, so it's very nice. And the other thing, outside of the explosiveness on offense for the Eagles, they got to figure out the second corner, because early in the game, Dak was just picking on Adoree Jackson. They tried to throw some other guys out there. They're going to have to find a second corner alongside Quinyon Mitchell, or it's going to be a long year. Especially, you got to figure out pretty quick, because next week you play Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes, if he sees a glaring hole in your secondary, he's going to attack it as much as he can. So So it's going to be interesting
Yeah.
to see how the Eagles can deal with that. But the one good thing is they're 1-0. They're trying to defend their Super Bowl. They got the win, and now they know what they have to work on as they move on. They have a tough schedule to start the year, but getting that win so important because you play on the road in Arrowhead next week. Easily could lose that game, and you do not want to fall to 0-2. So a big win for Philadelphia. You got anything more before we move on to our game of the week?
I was just surprised. I found myself rooting for the Cowboys late in the game. I was kind of curious who wanted to win because, Eagles have Saquon, but they didn't just win. And the Cowboys, I think I just really hate Jerry, but I honestly love Dak. He just seems like a good guy. Granted, it's spit towards Jalen Carter in the beginning of the game, but, seeing Dak back, he's just a likable dude. So I was like, I could get behind this.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb's fun. And I was looking at the Eagles, and they were so boring sometimes. They have all this talent. A.J. Brown has one target the whole game. And Saquon's obviously electrifying, but he didn't really do anything crazy today. He just had a bunch of dump-offs and 5-yard runs. So I was like, all right, I'd rather watch the Cowboys on offense at least. So I ended up rooting for the Cowboys. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I was rooting for the Eagles. I'm still mad at the Cowboys for trading away Micah. Great day for a Penn State fan, though. Barkley scores a touchdown. Jahan Dotson was probably the best receiver for the Eagles. Who would have thought that in week 1? Miles Sanders had the big run. Did have the fumble that may or may not have really hurt the Cowboys' chances of winning this game, but big run for Miles Sanders. So happy to see. So if you're a Penn State fan, it was a great game to watch. Now we'll move on to our game of the week, which we decide is going to be the big Sunday night game, the rematch of the AFC divisional round matchup last year as Ravens go back into Buffalo to take on the Bills, the two favorites to win the Super Bowl. If you look at the betting lines, the Bills won 27-25 in the AFC divisional round matchup last year that put them in the AFC championship game. Lamar had 2 turnovers in the first 20 minutes of that game. Mark Andrews obviously had the big drop on the 2-point conversion that would have tied the game in the fourth quarter. But they did meet twice last year. In the regular season matchup, the Ravens dominated 35-10. Derrick Henry was phenomenal in that game at 199 yards and a touchdown. In the 2 games last year against the Bills, he had 283 rushing yards in the 2 meetings. He had 7 yards a carry and a touchdown in both games as well. So, Chris, this is a big game, obviously. If you're looking at the 1 seed, these are the 2 favorites to win the Super Bowl. The Ravens trying to get off to a great start to avenge that loss last year. They left a really sour taste in their mouth in the playoffs. And Buffalo looking to get off to a hot start as well. So who do you think has the edge in this game? What should be a really fun one and great to see in week 1?
Yeah, the Ravens-Bills is actually a weird matchup for me because I feel like the Ravens are the best team in the AFC on paper. And you look at them, and I think the only advantage I'd really give Buffalo is that I think just Josh Allen's slightly better than Lamar. And everywhere else, they're kind of similar, but Baltimore seems to have a lot more depth. Yeah, I'm going to pick Buffalo. I just think when it comes down to these big games, the Ravens usually find a way to lose. Granted, in the regular season, they've won a lot of them. But I think Buffalo really is getting out for this game, and it's week 1 in Buffalo. If it was in Baltimore, I'd be picking Buffalo. I'd be picking Baltimore right now. But the home field, Bills Mafia, they're going to come out excited. The Bills have a lot of excitement. They are still a very talented team. Just you kind of look at their receivers, and you're like, all right, Khalil Shakir with an ankle injury. Keon Coleman in a second year hoping to have more of a breakout season. I don't have a lot of faith there. Dalton Kincaid's been kind of underwhelming. James Cook had an all-time season for him last year. I don't know if that's going to repeat. But you just look at Josh Allen, and I just have all the faith in that team. The Ravens, you have Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. Zay Flowers, I think, is still really good. You still have D-Hop, who's great in the red zone. And they both have very good defenses. I'm just going to go with Buffalo based on gut feeling, even though I think the Ravens might be the best team. It's more of the culture that team's established and unable to win these games.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting matchup. The weird thing and the one thing that concerns me about Baltimore is last year in their first season opening game, nationally televised game, they were playing the Chiefs on banner night for the Chiefs last year, and Lamar threw the ball over 40 times in that game. Lamar's a great quarterback, multiple-time MVP. He's phenomenal. But his strength isn't when he's sitting back and having to throw the ball 40 times. He had his best passing season last year, but that's not what he does best. You want to get him on the move. You want to rely on the ground game, sucker everyone in so then they can hit over the top. He's got a great arm. He's really accurate. You have Zay Flowers, who is explosive. I think he's a good receiver, an ascending receiver, but he can really run the deep ball well. Now you have D-Hop, a guy there as well on the other side that can really help them. I think this offense is really good. I think you have to lean on the run game with Derrick Henry. There's always the thing with Derrick Henry. It's another year, so is he going to finally fall off the cliff? Is Father Time going to come up? Who knows with Derrick Henry? But then you look at Buffalo. at home. I think the big strength they have is Buffalo's offensive line. I love. They really protect Josh Allen very well. They move him really well. Josh does a really good job making these decisions. And I think it's just a really interesting matchup because these teams are basically the same, especially when you look at what they've done, which is they're really, really good in the regular season, and then they run into Mahomes in the playoffs, and they can't get it done. Last year, they finally met each other in the playoffs, and it was a great game, and the Bills won 27-25. So it's like it's a regular season game, so who knows who's going to win. I'm with you. I'm leaning Buffalo in this game. I think, at home, I trust Josh Allen a lot. I think Lamar's going to play really well, but I just think, with the game being in Buffalo, I think you have to lean the Bills in this game. But, if the Ravens won, I wouldn't be surprised. I think the Ravens are actually favored in Buffalo, which is a huge surprise. You don't see that a lot in these big games. I think the Ravens are currently favored by 1.5. It's just a really weird situation to be in, but it's going to be a really fun game, so I've been super exciting.
Yeah, I also think, too, with the Ravens, with Derrick Henry, it's week 1, so that old age thing, I don't think that's going to play a factor as much for either team, honestly. Everyone's going to be pretty much healthy, and the Ravens, I think, Derrick Henry has played really well in Buffalo in the past. When you look at that team, it's like the Ravens, whenever they lose, it's very obvious why they lost. You look at the box score, and you're like, okay, well, you didn't run the ball at all, and they're a very good running team. When they lose to Buffalo, you're like, why did you not use Derrick Henry more? He's a train. He's like a deer and a moose combined into one with I don't know how to describe him. Skip Bayless he says a lot of things, Skip Bayless. But one of the best things he said is that he's built like a moose but runs like a deer. And it's true. He just goes so fast, but he's gigantic, hard to take down. Mm-hmm. And he's just built like a Dorito chip where he just little, legs, but he's just so big. In every game they lose, they just don't run the ball. And Lamar doesn't run the ball as much. Instead, it's Lamar trying to become Tom Brady, just staying in the pocket, throwing the ball. And that's not what he does best. I think the Ravens, whenever they lose, it kind of feels like they do it to themselves. It's really hard to predict when they lose because it really isn't even about the other team as much as about themselves. And also, the Bills run into Mahomes every playoffs. The Ravens ran into Mahomes, I think, once. Every other time, it's been some other team that they've lost to. 2 of the times was Derrick Henry on the Titans, so I don't know.
Yeah, they have some bad losses, and that's the big thing for the Ravens. And they have weird losses too. They always lose in week 2, somehow, or it's always close in week 2. I think last year they actually started out 0-2. I think they lost to the Raiders in week 2 after losing to the Chiefs with Minshew and them. So they have a weird game this year in week 2. They play the Browns, I think, which is, again, it's just they're weird early in the year sometimes. But I think we're both leaning
Bills
Buffalo.
Last year almost lost week 1, so we'll see.
Yeah, the Bills have had some weird games. The Bills, Josh Allen had one of the worst games of his career against Houston last year. They have some weird games. It's a long season, so no matter who loses this game, I don't think it really affects them either way. It might hurt them. Maybe they lose the 1 seed. It's a big game when you look at maybe tiebreakers down the road, but I don't think the loser of this game is going to be really soul-searching on, man, how are they going to find their way into the playoffs? They're going to be fine. It's just...
Do you want me for a short-form video? Do you want me to be like, this is a must-win game for the Bills? I could do one, but...
Yeah, sure. If we're doing must-win, I think it's way more of a must-win for the Ravens, though. Just because you don't want to... The worst thing to happen would be you lose a heartbreaking game in Buffalo, and then you somehow end up back there in the playoffs again, and the last 2 times you were in that locker room were 2 heartbreaking losses. That would be an interesting dynamic to deal with.
The Bills have higher hopes because they're home. I do think, though, the Ravens need it more because they're in a tough division and everyone counts, whereas the Bills, I don't think they're that afraid of the Jets, Dolphins, or Patriots. So I think that's why the regular season. I think the regular season matters more for the Ravens.
Yes.
But I think the Bills, you want to win your home opener, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's a huge game. We're both going with Buffalo here, but it's, like I said, it's a game that go either way, and both teams are going to be fine. They're both going to be in the playoffs, barring any significant injuries to their quarterback. Probably would be the only way they miss the playoffs is if their quarterbacks get hurt, and I don't think either of us see that happen. Lamar's missed some games in the past, but Josh has been an Iron Man, so that's been really good. So now we'll go to some of our segments that we're going to have every Friday on the show. We're going to pick an upset of the week, and then we're going to go through game picks, go through every game of the weekend, and give you our picks. We're both 1-0 because on Monday's episode, we both picked the Eagles. So, bold pick. We're really sweating it out to go 1-0 to start the season. But let's go into upset of the week. So we have rules for our upset picks this year. We're going to be going through them every week. Chris and I will each pick one upset we feel we're going against the point spread. It could be any spread underdog you want. So if your team covers. So for example, if you would have took the Cowboys today at plus 8.5, Chris, and they covered, they only lost by 4, you would get 1 point for that cover. Now, if the Cowboys would have won outright as 7+ point underdogs, you would have got plus 6 points on top of the cover. So you would have got 7 points for the Cowboys winning outright. They did not. They lost 24-20. You get 2 points for if your underdog is a 0, so it's a pick 'em, to a 3-point underdog. You would get 3 points total if they win outright. You get 1 for the cover, and then 2 bonus points for the win outright. And then in between 3.5 points to 6.5 point underdogs, you get 4 points for it. So it's going to be really complicated. It's going to make more sense once we start to get these out. Hopefully one of us wins early, so like the point totals are up there so people understand. I can't wait
you to explain this to me every week, but I'm all for it.
Yeah. Chris, you can go first here. So throughout all, we got big upsets, some big point spreads here early. Your Saints are big underdogs this weekend against Arizona, Chris. I'm not trying to talk you into anything, but
no, I will be staying away from Spencer Rattler week 1. Instead, I'm looking at a matchup where it's not even that big of a spread, but it's just one of them where I saw it, and I was a little confused at why this team wasn't favored to win. I'm going with Texans versus Rams. The Rams are favored by 3.5. I'm a little concerned about Matthew Stafford, the fact that he hasn't played all preseason because he has an injured back. That's not usually a good injury to have. Puka Nacua gets hurt all the time. Devontae Adams is new, but has he even played with Matthew Stafford? I don't know, because Matthew Stafford hasn't played all preseason. So I'm a little curious about how the offense works. Seems like when your quarterback hasn't done everything all preseason, I think they're going to have a slow start out of the gate. The Texans, however, they don't have an offensive line. That is unfortunate. However, they do still have C.J. Stroud. They have a healthy Nico Collins right now, at least. And they have Damian Pierce or Nick Chubb to be the running back. I think Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud, enough. Like, those two alone can get you something. And their defense is just phenomenal. They have 2 very good guys on the defensive line. And I think if they could get to Stafford, that's going to be a big problem. The Rams, I think, have been improving the other areas around their team. I think their offensive line has improved a little bit, but it's still not like this great unit. So if Stafford's feeling the pressure with an injured back, I would be a little scared for that matchup. I think the Texans should be favored. I'm a little confused on why the Rams are, especially by 3.5. So even if the Rams win by a field goal, the Texans would still cover.
I think the reason they're favorites because they're at home, Chris. Home field means something to some people.
Are the Rams really that big of a home field advantage team?
Well, no, but the Texans still got to fly to Los Angeles, California. There's a lot of distractions when they get there on Saturday. What if C.J. Stroud's out, at the nightclubs, trying to chill out, because he's in SoFi?
There's a big difference between home field advantages. We say that a lot. Going to Arrowhead, going to the Bill Stadium, going to even Miami when it's hot. That's a real home field advantage. What's not a home field advantage is anywhere in Los Angeles because those fans barely show up. And it's an indoor stadium, which might help it's not like it's an outdoor thing, which might throw people off in Buffalo. It's still indoors, which is fine for the Texans. And I don't really think the Rams have that big of a fan base. So, at least not ones that show up to the games. So, I think that might be one of the worst home field advantages, besides for the Chargers, who also play in that same stadium.
Yeah, the Chargers are by far worse. There are Rams fans in L.A. I don't know if there's any Chargers fans outside of Madison Beer. Madison Beer's a Chargers fan. My upset pick. Now, if you watched all our previews and our NFC East preview, I was a little down on the Commanders. I wasn't sold on them. And they have a home game this weekend against the New York Giants, and I'm taking the Giants to upset the Commanders, 6.5 point underdogs. So they're big dogs here. I have my concerns about the Commanders. They're the oldest team in the NFL, which is crazy to think. Looking at their offensive line, I'm not sold on. They're ranked 19th by PFF going into the season. And the Giants, we've said, we think their pass rush is unbelievable. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, I think, is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Kayvon Thibodeau's still there. Sexy Dexty's going to be inside, doing his thing, doing his little dance when he gets that sack. I feel good. Russell Wilson's the quarterback. He can get you through a couple weeks. He knows how to execute a game plan. He knows how to win. He got off to a great start with Pittsburgh last year. Didn't start week 1, but once he got out there, they really started rolling early, and then it slowly feathered out when they got more tape on how they were going to run with Russell Wilson at quarterback. And then Like I said, my concerns with Washington were stated in the previous video, but 9-4 in one-score games last year. I don't really like teams then coming back the next year. How are they going to handle it unless you're one of the elite teams? I don't know if Washington's that yet. They traded Brian Robinson away. I'm not sold on the running back room. Cliff Kingsbury even said a lot of people like Bill Krosky-Martin. A lot of people thought that's why they got rid of Brian Robinson, but he's listed as 4th on their depth chart. And Cliff Kingsbury's like, yeah, I mean, Bill's getting a lot of hype. Just kind of like, I don't know why, but he's getting a lot of hype. Terry McLaurin missed all of camp waiting for his new contract. So how's he going to look once he gets back out of there? I think he'll look good, but like maybe he gets off to a little slow start. And I'm still not sold on the defense. I know they made some moves. I know Dan Quinn's still there as the head coach. And, he's a defensive guy, but last year they weren't a great defense. Last time they played, they gave up 55 points to the Eagles. So defense was a weakness last year. Don't know how good they're going to be this year. So I think it all means for a week one upset potentially. I'm going for a big kahuna early, Chris. 6.5 point underdog. I'll take the Giants to upset the Commanders and get Brian Daboll off to a good start. He might be coaching for his job. Get the guy some love. So that's what I think is going to happen there.
I think 7.5. I would have done it because you have that touchdown lead.
Yeah.
The issue just for me is I just don't know how the Giants are really going to score points if it's not Russell Wilson to Malik Neighbors. I really don't see any other method for them to score. Cam Scadaboo, where he was going to be like maybe their backup running back, or Tyrone Tracy. That's not really anything there.
Hey, Tyrone Tracy, 4.5 yards per carry last year.
True, Adam. I don't know, but it's not like they're running the ball that well, and offensively just throwing the ball. If it's not to Neighbors, who is it going to? I really don't know. So
Theo Johnson, baby. Penn State's off to a great start in the NFL season. Theo Johnson's out there.
Some major questions about the Giants' offense and the Commanders' offense. I do think is still going to be pretty good, only because of Jaden Daniels. If they didn't have Jaden Daniels, this was probably any other average quarterback that was good last year, I wouldn't believe in him. But Jaden Daniels can create plays, can create home run plays. He can run. He can make the big throws. Terry McLaurin, probably not going to be up 100% just because he hasn't played all preseason. But guess what? He's still going to be able to run in a straight line and catch a ball. Maybe unlike CeeDee Lamb, though, or A.J. Brown. But besides the point, you have Terry McLaurin. You have Debo, who I think is in better shape than he was last year. I feel like he kind of has to be in better shape than he was last year. And you still have Zach Ertz, who oddly caught about 20 passes a game each game of the playoffs somehow, and was the greatest tight end I've seen for that small stretch. I think the offense is going to be good enough. I love the pick, Adam. I do, and I love that Giants defensive line. That's going to be the most fun thing to see. That might be the best unit on like a average team, is that Giants defensive line, because that's probably the second best defensive line in the NFL, maybe the best defensive line, considering Jalen Carter's getting suspended for spitting on people.
Yeah, and you never know. They're going to be really good. So the Giants are going to be good. The defensive line is going to be really good. Don't have much faith in the Giants. And who knows? We said Russ. Russ plays bad in the first half, but they keep it close, and Daboll goes, time to pull the Jackson Dart cord. Bang, and Jackson Dart comes out. He's the backup quarterback. They didn't put Jameis as the backup. It is Jackson Dart. So
I would love that. However, rookie quarterbacks historically have done terrible if they play week one as their first game. Just genuinely, not great for them. Jackson Dart, I think, is going to be really good when he comes in week 4 or 5,
Yeah.
But I think week 1, you kind of want Russ going out there playing the team of the Commanders. Even Jaden Daniels last year, who was phenomenal. Week 1, didn't score a touchdown, or didn't throw a touchdown. All of his touchdowns were running against the Buccaneers. And you could tell he was just this raw guy that was kind of nervous in this first game. I think that happens with everyone as a rookie QB. I think let Jackson Dart sit and cook a little bit longer, and you have Jameis and Russ to, the first few weeks.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I think I know exactly when Jackson Dart's going to get his first career start if things don't go well. Yep, week 5 when they're in New Orleans taking on the Saints. That's probably a good time for him to get his first start.
Yep, I was thinking that too. That's why I said after week 4, because I knew that Saints matchup was there, and teams like to give their rookie QBs a little softball. Yeah. And I think the Saints are literally going to tell the Giants, we will not even take the field. We will just be practice dummies. You guys just throw. They're going for what's that college kid's the quarterback name? What's his name?
Oh, Lenore Sellers?
No, it starts with an N-E-B.
Oh, Garrett Nussmeier.
Nussmeier, yep, that guy. Apparently his mom and dad have some affiliation with the Saints. She used to be a cheerleader and he played for the Saints.
Well, he goes to LSU, so
and he goes to LSU, but his parents were Saints. Yeah. So I'm all in on that guy now. I haven't seen any college football of him, but I'm all in.
He outplayed my Heisman pick in Cade Klubnik in
True.
week 1 by a lot. So,
True. I'm all in on the tank, but we can go to the rest of the matchups here.
Yeah. If Garrett Nussmeier is the number 1 pick, I'll be a little surprised. He is really good, but a little surprised. He doesn't have the huge upside. Like Lenore Sellers, he reminds me a lot of Anthony Richardson and maybe a little bit better. So that's just that. I don't know if that's a compliment or a diss, but
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. But Lenore Sellers is fun to watch at South Carolina. If you're looking for someone fun to watch. All right, so now we're gonna go through our game picks. Like I said, we're gonna go through every pick each week, and Chris and I are gonna give our picks. Again, we said we are both 1-0. We both picked the Eagles on Monday's episode to win the Thursday night matchup, which they did tonight. So we'll start with the game, which actually is happening. Yeah, it's tonight because it is 1:22 a.m., Chris, if you wanted to look at the clock. That lightning delay really delayed our recording today. But
Yes, it did. I was reading the quote about Jalen Carter saying it was a mistake to spit on Dak.
At least he knows it was a mistake. But Chiefs Chargers in Brazil. It's going to be a fun game. It's on YouTube, as we said, so it's free. So don't be scrolling through TV to see what channel it's on. Just log into YouTube and you can watch it on there. The Chiefs have dominated this matchup since Patrick Mahomes has become a starter. So, Chris, who do you got? Chiefs Chargers.
This is a really tough one for me. And I would love to pick the Chargers. But something about Mahomes after a loss, being motivated. Kelsey knows it's his last year, so he's going to give it everything he's got. I'm going with the Chiefs week 1. I don't really even want to do it, but I feel like I kind of have to give them the respect. I think they're going to have a really good season. I'm kind of afraid that I did not pick them this year, just because I think the scariest version of this team is when they're, have a chip in their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, they went for a 3-peat. Not a big chip in their shoulder, honestly. They just won twice. Now they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. I think they come out week 1. I think they smack the Chargers in the face. I think the Chargers try to run the ball, but pretty quickly they're going to fall behind and have to try to throw the ball, which they don't really do that well.
Yeah. I'm picking the Chiefs. I said that the winner of the Brazil game is going to win the Super Bowl. If you saw our picks that went out on Instagram today, so make sure you go follow the Instagram. I picked the Chiefs to beat the Bucs in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to ride with the Chiefs to beat the Chargers here. Good news, Najee Harris looks like his eye's okay. They're not going to get rid of it, so he's not going to have to be, a pirate out there with an eye patch. So that's good to see. I saw something, a Steelers fan posted it, like him with an eye patch on. And it goes, "Arr, trying to find me some 3-yard gains." I'm like, oh, jeez.
That's terrible. I still think, for me, just like in terms of fantasy and stuff, when you don't play with the team the whole preseason, I think it's going to be hard to come into a new team and know what's going on completely. But sure, I think he'll be okay. But I think he'll probably be, at best, second string to Marion Hampton.
He's the back. Yeah, they did say, Jim Harbaugh said he's going to be back up. First time in Najee Harris's career, he's not going to be a starter, which is interesting.
I think that's okay.
Yeah, I would have thought Jalen Warren would have started one of the games in Pittsburgh, but I guess he did. So that was interesting to me. All right, next we'll go to the 1 o'clock time slot on Fox, I believe, is where this game's being played. The Arizona Cardinals make the cross-country trip to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Chris, are you going to pick against your beloved New Orleans Saints in week 1?
Yeah, let's go Cardinals, baby. We're tanking the season. And here's what does scare me. For some reason, the Saints just ball out in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they did this to the Packers with Aaron Rodgers when they literally dropped 40-some points with Jameis on them. Last season, they destroyed the Panthers and had an all-time start to the year.
Man.
I'm a little scared they're going to do it again, but I really think they did their best to be terrible at football this season. I'm going to pick the Cardinals. I'm pretty secure. The only thing that scares me is, as much as I love this man, Kyler Murray is not really a fun, safe bet if there ever is one. So a little nervous there, but I think the Saints really want to lose this one.
I think it's interesting with the cross-country trip. A lot of people say that cross-country trip, especially in the 1 o'clock window, can sometimes be tricky because it's like a 10 a.m. start for the guys, like with the way their bodies are programmed. But no, the Cardinals are going to win. I don't trust Spencer Rattler. But this could be, when we talk about it on Sunday night for the Monday episode, this could be one of those where this was a survivor pool nightmare because everybody's picking the Cardinals in week 1.
I have the Cardinals in my survivor pool, baby.
But now we'll move on to the team I have in my survivor pool this week. The Carolina Panthers make the trip down to Duval County, Florida to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, Huge Jags fan over here. Got the Brian Thomas Jr. jersey up. I'm dog sitting for a family friend with the Brian Thomas Jr. Prowler jersey sitting upstairs in the room. But I'm rolling with the Jags. I think they're the better team. I think Liam Cohen's going to get off to a good start to his tenure as the head coach. I'm really interested to see how they use Travis Hunter. He's a starting wide receiver, backup corner. Interested to see how that works. But now I like Jacksonville in this game. The Panthers are going to be tricky. I think this game's close. Like, it's not like a surefire pick. I literally texted when I sent in my Survivor pool pick. I said, I'm taking the Jags, and the only reason I am is because if I'm going out early, I'm at least picking my favorite team once. So that's why I did it. And I probably wouldn't get a chance to take them again if I went long enough. So, yeah, I'm going to roll with the Jags here over the Panthers. But I think it's going to be a pretty close game.
I just don't see the Panthers. I think Bryce Young had a great end to the last season. They were, had some good energy to them. I don't really think he's that guy yet. If he ever becomes that guy, give me the Jags. I don't think the Panthers even have a good defense anyways. Now the Jaguars have a lot of options. Brian Thomas, as you said, Travis Hunter. I think if you just looked at him as a receiver, he'd be a very good receiver. Give me the Jags. I want to root for Bryce Young, but yeah, I'm going to go with the Jags.
I really like Bryce Young, too, so there's a soft spot there for me, but still, I'm going with the Jags. Of course I'm going with the Jags. But now, interesting, this was one of the tougher games for me to pick, Chris. Dolphins at Colts. Like, a lot of people are out on the Dolphins going into this year. They're in Indianapolis. Daniel Jones is the starter, so it's a little weird. Shane Steichen might be coaching for his job. So who do you like here? It's in Indy, so Lucas Oil Stadium, but
I've not known what to do about this game all week.
It's crazy.
I feel like you have to really plant your flag in. Are the Colts going to be decent, or are the Dolphins going to be decent or terrible? It's like really each team you kind of have to pick in your mind. Is this team going to suck, or is this team going to suck? I think I'm going to pick the Dolphins suck. I'm going to go the Colts barely win this one. I think when healthy, the Dolphins can be solid, but I don't think that even when healthy, they just looked really bad last year. The vibes were all off. I think they changed a lot. I don't really think it's going to work, though. Tyreek wanted out. He ends up staying. I haven't heard much from him. Jalen Waddle, honestly, very disappointing last year. I feel like it's kind of underrated at this point. I think the whole fun, energy track team that they had from a few years ago is kind of gone. I'm going with the Colts. Give me Danny Dimes.
I'm going to ride with the Dolphins. Tua's healthy. I think that's important. I think they get off to a good start. I do not think they're going to be a good team this year. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs. But I do think they get this win. Not sold on the Colts. I do like Daniel Jones. I think he could have a decent year. I think he's a solid middling starting quarterback that could be like, if you have a good team, he can get you to like 8 and 9, but he's not that guy that's going to get you obviously over the hump. So, but now I'm going to take the Dolphins here. I think they get off to a good start this year, and then eventually it slowly spitters out. Might be due to a Tua injury, might be due to Tyreek saying, heck no, I'm out of here. So we'll see what goes on in Miami. Now another interesting one. Vegas in New England, Raiders at Patriots. Back-to-back tough games here, Chris. Geno Smith, the new starter, Pete Carroll in his first game as the Raiders head coach, Ashton Genty in his first games versus Mike Vrabel in his first game with New England, and Drake May at quarterback.
This is probably the other toughest game for me to pick because I actually kind of like both teams. It's tough because I actually think the Patriots are slightly better, but new coach, young quarterback, new running back. I don't really think they have a lot of good receivers. And the Raiders, new coach, new quarterback, new running back, new ownership, really, with Brady. And it's like both teams are trying to be decent. I honestly feel like they both kind of need this to prove that they could be decent this season. Because if you lose this game, you kind of are, like, still bottom tier. I guess I'm going to go with the Raiders. I think I'm going to make my mind on the Raiders. I just think the Patriots, Drake May is really young. Geno Smith's kind of a vet. He's been there before. Drake May didn't even start last year. So this is Drake May's first real week one. Still a lot of new for him. I guess I have to go with the Raiders. I don't really feel good about it. I kind of want the Patriots to win, to be honest. But I'll pick the Raiders. If they get a lead and they can just run the ball well, that's kind of their game plan. I think it could work.
I'm taking the Patriots. Mike Vrabel. I like Drake May. Stephon Diggs. I like Stephon Diggs. Yeah, it might be a problem, but I like Stephon Diggs. He's great for content.
As long as he doesn't date your sister.
Yes, very true.
Every single Vikings player all said. They're like, one guy can't date your sister. They all said Stephon Diggs.
And also, I really like Travion Henderson, so
Me
I'll
too.
ride with him. And Mike Vrabel, I think, is a really good coach. But we were talking about Stephon Diggs, maybe a problem wide receiver. Just got text from Mac Young, huge Eagles fan, celebrating them going 1-0. Not happy. Mac's a really hard grader, but he's celebrating. He did say A.J. Brown did not throw a fit in the postgame, so we're 1-0 on no A.J. Brown throwing a fit in postgame. Now, we got to wait. It's not over yet. We still have the Twitter throughout the weekend that could change everything. So you have to stay tuned on A.J. Brown's Twitter. So Steelers at Jets. Aaron Rodgers makes his return to MetLife to take on the Jets. Justin Fields, it's the first time I think they said that quarterbacks are meeting against each other after a complete swap of teams since Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff did it. Back in 2021. They met the year after those two players were traded for each other. These two weren't traded for each other. They both signed with each other's teams. But who do you like? Steelers, Jets, and MetLife.
Give me the Jets. A little surprised I'd even pick the Jets, but I actually kind of like Justin Fields. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I think it was that one time I watched him play at Ohio State. I've just been unable to get that out of my mind. Aaron Rodgers, however, I have in my mind from last season, and I was not a fan of it at all. I don't think that's going to get better on the Steelers. They don't have a good offensive line. They have DK Metcalf as their only option. I feel like DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers' relationship could go very poorly very easily. Running back wise, Jalen Warren's solid. Caleb Johnson should, I think he'll get better throughout the year, but he should be solid. But they really don't have a lot. And defensively, they really only have that defensive line, and Cam Hayward missed a lot of the preseason. So I think their defense is going to take a little setback, and I think offensively it's just going to be bad. So I think if the Jets can just get a random Justin Fields 50-yard TD scramble, that could be the game.
I'm taking the Steelers. I can't believe you said the Steelers only have their defensive line when they have Jalen Ramsey at the corner position and Joey Porter Jr., who's been a really good corner for the Steelers since he's been there.
Joey Porter Jr. was getting cooked all last season. He was just doing defensive pass interference. Is his only way to guard someone is just to grab them and hope the ref doesn't call it.
Yeah, but that's what the Jets defense looked like last year too, but no one talks about that.
They'll be trying this season.
Oh wow, so they didn't try last year. Okay, no,
they did not. Their season was over after week 3.
I think the Steelers are going to win because you mentioned how you remember how Aaron Rodgers looked last year. Well, you wouldn't remember how Justin Fields looked last year because he got benched for Russell Wilson, who you don't think is going to be any good.
He was winning in the beginning, Adam.
Yeah, he
was winning.
He went 2-0. Congratulations. He beat the Falcons without scoring a touchdown. Congratulations. We already went Giants-Commanders. I got the Giants as my upset pick. Chris is taking the Commanders, I'm assuming. You didn't give your official pick, but I doubt you're taking the Giants.
I would love to take the Giants, but give me the Commanders.
Yeah, figured. I already wrote it down for you, but I just figured I'd ask. All right, Bengals at Browns. Normally this wouldn't be interesting, but the Bengals 1-9 in weeks 1 and 2 with Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow. Last year they lost to the Patriots in week 1 with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. So they're taking on the Browns with Joe Flacco. Myles Garrett's still there. It's in Cleveland. So, Chris, who do you like here? Are you going to go and you're going to say the trend continues for Zach Taylor and the boys, that they struggle in week 1?
I'm going against the curse. Give me Cincinnati Bengals. Week 1 over the Browns. Last season, Joe Burrow missed a lot of the preseason with the injury in his arm. Jamar Chase didn't play. The year before that, I think they were just bad. And they usually get off to a slow start. But Burrow usually has some injury that kind of keeps him out. He played in the preseason. So did Jamar Chase. The Bengals were not messing around. They know that week 1 they usually suck. So what do? They play their guys in the preseason games, which is rare, but they actually did it. And this is a very winnable game. Myles Garrett's the only real guy that you're afraid of on the Browns. Joe Flacco, I don't know how old he is. He's in his 40s. I'm not afraid of him. Even with that Cincinnati defense, they could give up 21 points to Joe Flacco. But the Bengals are probably going to score 35. Give me the Bengals. I'm going against that curse that they seem to have. Then at this point, they're so aware of it that they're trying to counter it. So, Cincinnati. And I'm so safe about it. I almost picked them in my survivor pool.
Very confident. I'm taking the Bengals, too. They played in the preseason. It's the first time they've done that. They usually sit out the entire preseason, so they're playing. I think they're going to win. I think Trey Hendrickson's going to have a big game for him as well. And I don't like the vibes in Cleveland, especially because, as I said, let's keep talking about the emergency third-string quarterback, why don't we, instead of talking about the actual football team.
TikTok comments are going to come after you. Be careful.
Oh, I don't care. They can come at me. I mean, we'll get to
say, Shadur Sanders fans and Cowboys fans most vocal in the comment section.
Dude, do you see a Cowboy? Oh, I'm not even getting.
Yep.
Cowboys
I
fan
know
tried to
exactly
say,
what
yeah.
you're talking about.
Ay, ay, ay. All right,
Yep.
Bucks Falcons. I think this will be pretty quick. It's in Atlanta though, and the Falcons swept the season series against the Bucks last year. I'm going with the Bucks, of course. The Bucks are my Super Bowl pick. But I have them going to the Super Bowl and losing to Kansas City. So they're my pick out of the NFC. So I'm riding with Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I like the way they're going to get started. I like Emeka Egbuka. I'm trying to talk you into it here because you seem to be thinking I like Emeka Egbuka. I like Mike
You
Evans.
know I love Emeka Egbuka. I
I,
just traded for him in Dynasty, Adam. I
I like
literally
Bucky
have him in
Irving.
every league I can.
I like Bucky Irving. I like Tristan Wirfs. I like the defense. I like Todd Bowles as the head coach. Come on, Chris. I'm reeling you in.
What
Take the
scares
Bucks.
me is the image I saw of a Falcons team at the end of last year that had Michael Penix actually throwing the ball, unlike Kirk Cousins. And I really want to pick him, but Penix is still young in his second NFL career, even though he's pretty old. But second season in the NFL, week one for him. I guess give me the Bucks because they're the fun, safer team. Oh, they're the safer team. I think the Falcons will be a lot of fun, though. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have a good year. I think Drake London's going to have a good year. And Bijan is, I think, probably the third best running back in the league. So I actually really like the Falcons. I think their offense is fun, but their defense is terrible. Give me the Bucks. They're a better overall team.
Third best running back?
I'd have Saquon and Jameer Gibbs above them.
I'd have Derrick Henry above him, too. But until Derrick Henry falls off the cliff,
Bijan is fourth. I think him and Gibbs are like tied at third.
Man, you had Jameer Gibbs at 2, and now you dropped him to tied for third.
I forgot about Derrick Henry. I'm sorry. I was thinking about fantasy football, and Derrick Henry just can't catch a ball. So we don't.
All right, Niners in Seattle. This is Sam Darnold's first game as the starter in Seattle. The Niners are trying to come back. Christian McCaffrey was banged up and limited at practice today.
Yep. The amount of red flags going off was insane. I was at RJ and Katie's house with their newborn baby, so excited. RJ's a 49ers fan. His dad's visiting. They're all 49ers fans. They got the notification. Their faces went from, like, holding the baby to very upset. They know what this means. Terrible signs from the Niners. However, I picked them to go to the playoffs and win this division. Give me them over the Seahawks. I forgot that. For a second, I almost picked the Seahawks. Then I remember that Sam Darnold is their quarterback, and that immediately made me change my pick to the Niners.
Man, Sam Darnold, the man who won 14 games last year, and they're already out on him.
Those are 14 outliers in his career.
I got the Niners, too. Don't worry. Hey, Sam Darnold, I think, won a game for the Niners when he started that last game of the year when Brock Purdy sat out. But, I got the Niners, too. Joe Tuman's not going to like these picks, Chris. He is not a Niners fan.
Not going to like the next one I make either for going into his game soon.
Well, no, not yet. We still have another game. That was the first game of the 4:05 time slot. We have another game in the 4:05 time slot. The Tennessee Titans make the trip to Denver to take on the Broncos. Chris, I think I know where you're going, figuring you have this team in the AFC Championship, even though you're getting a little nervous about your AFC Championship and AFC West champion.
Well, Adam, when we recorded the predictions, that was the very beginning of August or late September, and I was like, ooh, let me pick the Broncos, think they're kind of good. Since then, I feel like everyone is on the Broncos, and that has made me now feel like by the time we posted it and we made the graphic, it was just a bandwagon pick at this point is what it looks like. And now I'm completely scared to pick the Broncos. And I'm kind of like, how did I not have the Ravens there? But anyways, I picked the Broncos. I think they're definitely winning this game. As I said, rookie QBs week one usually do terrible. So give me the Broncos over the Titans. But I think the Titans are going to be solid this year. Not terrible. Like, okay, decent level.
Titans are going to be sneaky. I think they might get to 6 wins, but the Broncos are winning this game. I'm not even high on the Broncos, and I think they're going to win this game. Because the one thing, the Broncos were horrible against teams that made the playoffs last year, but the Titans aren't making the playoffs this year, so I guess they're going to be good against them. So
no, man, they are not.
Yeah, so there you go. 4:25 time slot now, and now we're to the CBS game of the week, Chris. Lions at Packers. Micah Parsons, potential debut. He does have the back problem. We'll see how that works. But who do you like here? In Green Bay, in Lambeau. You kind of teased this with the way you said Joe Tuman's not going to like this pick. Known Packers fan, Joe Tuman.
Yeah, honestly, I almost picked this game for my underdog picks because I'm going with the Lions. I think the Packers are a very good team, and the Lions are a very good team. I think Micah Parsons got to the Packers, and all of a sudden everyone's all in on the Packers, and I think Mike is a great player. I'm a little concerned that his back has a sprain in his spine. That's not really a fun injury to have. That's a little concerning. I don't think Micah's really going to do much in game one, and if he does, he's going to have to get injections into his back. Give me the Lions. I know they lost their coordinators and 85 coaches because everyone wants them, but guess what? They still have their head coach, still have Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Penei Sewell, and the defense was extremely injured last season. They got a lot of those guys back. I think they're still going to be really good. The Packers, I think, are a very good team, but I think the Lions, people are just down on them because they lost some coaches, but still extremely talented.
I am down on the Lions, but I'm picking the Packers to win this game, not because I'm down on the Lions, because I think they're going to split the season series, and this game's in Lambeau, so I'll take the home team. No, that's just kind of all to it. Like, I don't think either team's sweeping, and I don't think Green Bay is going to win. I think they play the Thanksgiving game against each other this year.
Listen, Jerry Jones traded away Micah because he cannot stop the run. Do you think Micah's going to go to the Packers to stop Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery?
It's not his job. That's the linebacker's
He is the liability,
job.
Adam. Micah Parsons, whatever team he's on, cannot stop the run.
Yeah, that totally, because the Cowboys gave up, 160 yards on the ground today.
Every time Jalen Hurts was free running around and no one could tackle him, I just was like, Micah would have stopped him.
It'd be crazy if they had an edge rusher that could actually get pressure on him and make him get the ball out instead of getting 5 seconds to throw every time. Like Dante Fowler.
They got lucky that lightning came because that was the only way they stopped the Eagles.
Yes. All right, now next game, 4:25 time slot, Texans at Rams. Chris has the Texans. He's already explained why in his upset picks. I'm going to roll with the Rams. I like the Rams at home. I like them to get off to a good start here. I do have concerns about the Texans with some of the injuries they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know if they'll score enough points. Plus, Sean McVay, I like the coaching. Got to give the edge in coaching to the Rams at home with Matthew Stafford, who there's part of me that thinks he's not even hurt. There's part of me that thinks, we don't want him to practice, so he has a back problem. So now he can just rest, and then we'll have him ready when the season starts. That's
what I want to think, and I thought that about Micah too. Then Micah ends up having a sprain in his.
See, no. Here's the other thing, because I was listening to J.J. Watt talk about this today. He's like, Micah didn't have a back problem. They go, what do you mean? They showed the video of him on the sled, and he like chucks the sled all the way up and goes around. He said his back feels good. Like, you can't do that if your back don't. His back feels good. I'll go with the Rams. I think it's gonna be close. And this might be a little bit of the AFC South. Like, come on, Jags. Let's get a 1-game up lead on the Texans. You know what I'm talking about? So let's get that. And then lastly, Ravens-Bills. We both had the Bills. We already explained why in our Game of the Week picks. We're both taking the Bills in that one. And then finally, Monday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. J.J. McCarthy, huge fan of J.J. McCarthy on this side. Versus Caleb Williams in his first year with Ben Johnson making his head coaching debut against Kevin O'Connell, who's one of the best coaches in the National Football League. Who do you like, Chris, in this game Monday night in Chicago?
I think this is going to be the ugliest game. I think we're all going to come in excited, and that's going to be a sloppy game. Basically a rookie, J.J. McCarthy, did not play all last season, making his debut week 1. I've said it multiple times. They usually do not do well in their first start. Caleb Williams, though, is in an offense that is brand new and seems very confusing to them. He did not have a good preseason by a lot of the clips from training camp. They played better in the games of preseason, but everything besides that has been negative. I'm concerned for both. However, I guess I'm going to go with the Bears because I want to pick against the rookie QB in his first start. However, everything is telling me to pick the Vikings because I like their coach, Kevin O'Connell, a lot, and I love their defense because they get a lot of pressure on the guys. And Caleb Williams under pressure didn't always work out well.
So you got the Vikings? Is that who you're picking?
No, I'm telling you, everything in my heart says Vikings, but I'm picking the Bears.
Okay, I was getting a little confused. I had Bears written down for you, and then I'm like,
Adam, it's a very confusing time in my mind. I don't know who to pick.
It sounds like you were picking the Vikings, but all right. I am very high on the Vikings. I think I had them winning the NFC North at one point. I love J.J. McCarthy. Not Michigan fans probably love J.J. McCarthy more than I do. I said some very mean things to J.J. McCarthy when he was in Happy Valley playing against Penn State in 2023 when he threw 7 passes and they still won the game. They didn't throw a pass in the second half that wasn't pass interference. It was a rough game. But I really like him. I really like Kevin O'Connell. With that being said, I'm taking the Bears. Again, it's kind of similar to what I had when I picked the Packers over the Lions. I think these two teams are going to split the season series. So I think the Bears win the home game, then the Vikings will win when they play back in Minnesota later in the year. Also, The one thing is everyone really talks about Brian Flores' defense and how complicated it is. Caleb Williams, towards the end of the year, had a great game against the Vikings at the end of the year, and then Ben Johnson absolutely annihilated the Vikings defense when he was with the Bears and with the Lions, my pardon, in their last game of the regular season to win the division. So Caleb Williams coming off his last time he played against the Vikings defense, he was really good. Ben Johnson coordinates really well against that Vikings defense the second time he played that defense at the end of the year. So I think they've really figured out that defense. I think they'll know what to expect. And I think JJ, as much as I love him, I think he is going to struggle in that first game in Chicago. So I will take the Bears to round out our NFL game picks. That gets us into what is going to be an electric first weekend of football. It already started 24-20. The Eagles won tonight, tomorrow on YouTube. You can watch it. You can watch this video, lead you right in to the Chiefs-Chargers game if you would like. As the Chiefs and Chargers battle on YouTube on Friday, and then a full Sunday slate of football this weekend. Chris, how excited are you before we get out of here?
It is my step-grandpa's 80th birthday. I will not be watching any football.
Wow,
for
really?
Saturday. However, I will make sure to watch who wins. It is kind of just underwhelming week 2 compared to week 1, just because the matchups tend to be worse, but I will happily have you recap it to me in an exciting way, Adam.
Oh, so you're not watching anything on Sunday, really?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Saturday.
No, Sunday. It's the
Adam,
NFL.
it is 1:47 a.m. I'm so sorry.
It's the NFL, Chris. They play on Sunday. College football is on Saturday.
I thought you said there's also college on Saturday. I'm
well,
sorry.
there are some big college games. Iowa State, Iowa Cyhawk game. Michigan, Oklahoma on Saturday night. There's some big games, I'll tell you that. Oklahoma State's complaining that they don't have enough money to compete with Oregon. They play at 3:30. There are some big college games if you want me to hype those up. But now we're talking the NFL.
My apologies. I'm very excited for Sunday. The first Sunday of the season, I just feel like I get so overwhelmed, but in such an amazing way. Just overstimulation at its best. I'm very scared about Red Zone with commercials. We'll see how that goes. But
you want me to explain it? Because Adam Schefter explained it.
Nope. They explained it's going to be like the game's still on, but then there's a commercial that pops up.
No, it's 7 hours. 7 hours of football, so it's 420 minutes. There are 2 minutes of commercials for the whole 7 hours.
Ruins the whole branding.
Complain about it all you want. The NFL made the call, by the way. ESPN has been cleared of all wrongdoing.
Go in my room. You will see more Disney things than you ever thought imaginable. I'm all for it, but a little different. But I'm very excited.
I'm not a big Red Zone guy anyway, so.
I am because of fantasy football, but
I like to watch football games, so
If I did not have fantasy football, I would hate Red Zone. But because I have fantasy football, I'm a lot more interested in NFL Red Zone.
But it's like I want to watch the game. Like you won't even turn on the Saints game, will you?
I will not force myself to watch one of those games because it will be atrocious.
But won't you want to watch some of the young guys coming up?
No.
You got guys developing.
No. We are drafting offensive linemen. I am not curious to see if they protect Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler could be under duress or in an open pocket. He still will not hit Chris Olave with a football. Instead, Chris Olave will get a hospital ball that probably gets him another concussion.
But he's not Derek Carr. So calm down. But the one
will
thing...
be worse.
Well, yeah, he might, but he might not throw hospital balls. He might just overthrow them completely. You never know.
True.
But now you're telling me you've been a Saints fan for a long time. You were going to say, I'm not going to watch what potentially and probably will be the last ever season Alvin Kamara puts on a Saints uniform.
I don't even think Alvin Kamara is going to even show up to the games. I might honestly be someone he pays to pretend to be Alvin Kamara. I don't know why he stayed on the team. He re-signed and got this deal. I love you, Alvin Kamara. Thank you for your service. I feel bad for him because I'm like, go to somewhere where you can compete. I'm a little surprised that he stayed. Honestly, I'm surprised we offered him a contract because what uses are we getting out of him? I just feel bad.
I don't know, man.
I would take a $5 million discount to go somewhere better. I don't know.
Well, you're not making the financial decisions. Maybe he likes the city of New Orleans. Maybe he doesn't want to move. You never know.
Sure.
Yeah, so you're just going to pass on Saints football. You have to watch Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray play. Come on,
I'm more interested in for fantasy purposes of Trey McBride. Trey McBride is one of my favorite players in the NFL. So
Yeah, you ain't even gonna watch them. You're gonna watch
and
Red
Kyler,
Zone
I'm
instead
gonna
of
watch
watch.
them. I'm just not interested in watching Spencer Rattler because he will not be there next season as their
Yeah.
QB.
I'll tell you now, I've sat through many a bad seasons for the Jags. I still locked in every weekend for my Jags, every time. Even last weekend when things were going off the right, Mac Jones was playing quarterback. We were locked in. And now you know what it got us? Travis Hunter and some excitement. It's called
Mac
karma.
Jones played better than Trevor Lawrence for most of those games
No,
last
he
year.
did not. Can we stop pressing that narrative? Trevor
Brian
Lawrence
Thomas
was
Jr.
hurt.
carried my fantasy team with Mac Jones as his quarterback, but
Well, yes, because Trevor wasn't playing. That doesn't mean Mac Jones was playing good.
it does.
Yeah. All right, so then that should be your pick. Brock Purdy goes out, so Mac Jones can come in, and that's how the Niners make the NFC
Brock
Championship
Purdy's
game.
an MVP, Adam.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
love Brock Purdy. We can finish this up, but I'm just gonna go to bed and just think about Brock Purdy.
Yeah, you can think about Brock Purdy. I'll think about the fact that Trevor Lawrence is better than Justin Herbert because they played in a playoff game and he beat him. But that is besides.
If Justin Herbert could throw the ball like he did his rookie season, I'd pick him to be the Chiefs, but we just haven't seen him
Well, if
play.
Justin Herbert could throw the ball in a meaningful football game that's not to the other team, I would pick him to win a game. But
Yeah, he might be just like the most like underused weapon. His rookie season was so electric, and then everything since then has kind of just been underwhelming.
can't win big games. That's just who he is. He would have made a great Penn State quarterback. I hate saying that, but he probably would have been a great Penn State quarterback. All right, that's going to do it here from this episode of the Pain and Panic podcast. Again, the Eagles are 1-0, and we have a fun weekend of NFL football this weekend starting tonight. You know, it's 1:51 in the morning, so it'll start tonight when the Chiefs and Chargers battle in Brazil. For my partner, Chris Reynolds, I am Adam Sheets. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Pain and Panic podcast.